welcome to Check Your Leader TV. Today, I really should be saying welcome to Basement 1908 because the video I'm uploading today predominantly is in support of the What If 1813 campaign that Steve over at Basement 1908 has put together. What I'm going to be showing today is a Command & Colors Napoleonic epic game, and I'm not even going to be showing the moves and whatnot. It's just basically an hour by hour playthrough, and by hour I mean an hour of battlefield time. Steve is currently playing a General d'Armée General d'Armée 2 core level game for part of the 1813 What If campaign, and it's all to do with the first battle of the campaign, which is the Battle of Zwickau, where coalition forces have basically crashed into a defensive position set up by 4 corps of French troops under the command of Marshal Saint-Cyr. I will be playing a battle that focuses on 3 corps of French and initially 2 corps of Austrians, with a third marching to the battle, whilst on the left flank of the battle, Steve will be playing his General d'Armée 2 core level game at his residence in Kentucky, United States. So this is a transcontinental war game where I'm using the Command & Colors system and Steve using General d'Armée version 2. I have suggested to Steve that he could actually take this video and just splice it into his, where he would be playing his game and then go, meanwhile, over on the right flank, and then you could just see what has transpired in the preceding hour. But just as easily, what we can do here is, I'm sure Steve will link into this. You could watch his battle and then watch this one, and it'll all make sense if you see what's going on my tabletop here in conjunction with what's going on with his tabletop in Kentucky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off initially. I'm just going to give a bit of a table brief, and this is the I've basically taken a video that I sent to Steve and actually you'll find it in my playlist here for this campaign, where it's just giving a table brief of the larger battlefield. Apologise for some of the lighting and the glare, but you'll be able to tell what's what. And then once that table brief has done, I'm going to launch straight in, and it'll be an hour by hour summary of what has happened on the battlefield as it pertains to the center and French right flank. And then Steve's video will concentrate on what's going on the French left flank. So with that said, and all that out of the way, we'll launch straight into it. So let's crack on with the Battle of Zwickau, 1813, in which the Austrians find themselves looking at. I'll just describe the battlefield. This is a ridge line here, woods, another ridge line, woods, heavily wooded here, a rough hill, so it's very hard going there, a village here, orchard here, and a farm, like a farm complex, more of it like think Hougoumont, but not as substantial. Woods here, a twin hamlet, a twin village here, just on the outskirts of Zwickau. Hills here, and you will notice the French have constructed a redoubt here. There's a wood here, more hills, a hill here with a redoubt on it, and another village. Another redoubt on these hills here. There's a large wood here, and a chateau type or large manor house here. And then beyond where the French are deployed, which is along this line here, the French can deploy up to the edge of this redoubt and along, including this village and this area here. So from here all the way through is where the French can deploy. The Austrians obviously are coming in from this direction here, anywhere along here they want. Their core or cores. I don't know how many are coming, only Steve knows that. But I am aware that at least one core is coming down here. The French are deployed along this line here. So, for you at home, how would you like to attack? I'll leave the options up to Steve to share, but this is the battlefield and you are in command. Okay, so we've seen the theoretical, and so what we're now going to go on with is the actual. So this now is the battlefield as it actually is. Terrain wise, nothing's changed. It's all as we spoke to before, but behind this ridge line here, what we see is that in the sector of MacDonald's Corps, he's also constructed a redoubt back here as part of the fallback position. And also in the sector where Renier is, he's built a redoubt here and here. Okay, so what he's done, he has a redoubt here, a redoubt here, and a redoubt here. In Augereau's core position, he has his redoubt and a fortified village next to this built-up area here. And Sincere, what he has done is he has fortified this village here, or this farmhouse here, and this farm complex here. So these two are fortified also. A bit of a tactical blunder. Renier really should have fortified here rather than built a redoubt, but I diced for these and that's what they got. So he failed to fortify here. What we have here is Goulay's corps has come onto the battlefield. Melvelt's corps is coming up. And over here is, from this point across, this is on Steve's table. This is MacDonald's corps all the way across here. And over here we have Clinau's corps coming on. But what Clinau has done is he's dispatched his cavalry to support Goulay, and they're coming on there. These guys are slightly to the rear. They're going to arrive at midday. It's now 9 a.m. and every time I play a turn, I'm going to turn this little dice here, and then once I've done 6 plays of the hand, it will move to 10 a.m. and so on and so forth. So this is my battlefield clock. All right. The Austrians, I diced for it. They have the initiative, and Rachel, my wife, has picked a card which is probe center. So that's what the Austrians are going to do. And then, like I said, we're going to play this out as if it was a command and colors game, with myself drawing cards and playing them for the French, and Rachel drawing the cards for Goulay, Melvert and Hesse-Homburg when they finally arrive. And Steve is obviously controlling these forces here. I'll move them onto the table to reflect Steve's deployment as best I can, and I will deploy these French here to reflect what Steve has done as best I can, but I think that's pretty accurate. Okay, let's move on to turn 1. Okay, so 1 full hour of combat has passed, and it's now 10 a.m. In short, a summary, the Austrians have lost some artillery from their brigade here and some infantry from this brigade over here. The French have lost an infantry unit from this brigade. Long story short, the Austrians came forward in an effort to envelop the French right and lay down some fire, but the fight's gone predominantly the French way. They've managed to mass their guns on up here. That guns that were in reserve have come up. St. Cyr has sent forward some of his artillery to also bolster Augereau's line, and as a consequence, this is where we are after 1 hour of combat. 2 units of artillery have lost, 2 battalions of infantry lost for the Austrians, 1 battalion of infantry lost for the French. I did have to redeploy. I just realized these are actually very, very rough hills, and they're actually impassable terrain according to the Commander Colours terrain sheet. So units that were there, I've moved back down to here. This light infantry unit was here. It came forward to challenge these Grenzers in the woods, but has been driven back with losses. Right, that's where we are now at 10 a.m. Let's move on now, and we'll catch up again at 11 a.m. Okay, so now it's 11 a.m. Another hour has passed. There's been some heavy fighting in the woods on the French right. The Grenzers and the light infantry here both suffered heavy casualties. The French in the centre continue to bombard, so much so that the Austrians have withdrawn back behind the hill to protect themselves, and the cavalry that has been sent for Clanau has managed to move into the centre here to prevent any aggressive moves by the French infantry in the centre. However, French light infantry have been able to move up into this wood here, and more troops from St. Cyr has moved towards the left flank. So now it's 11 a.m, so we'll now move on to 12 a.m. The overall plan for the Austrians here is to wait for the arrival of Mervelt's corps. Okay, so this is the situation at 12 o'clock. There's been some heavy fighting in this area here. The Grenzers that were in here have been pretty much wiped out. There's been some bayonet charges by the French out of this little hamlet here, and attacks by French infantry here. The troops of St. Cyr, he has been moving troops up to support Renier, and that's freed Renier up to commit troops to try to envelop the left flank of Clanau. Whether they'll make an appearance over here is we're yet to see. This is all speculative because I haven't seen what's going on Steve's table at the moment. Also, the cavalry that was sent from Clanau to support Renier, they did make some demonstrations in the centre. They suffered some losses from artillery, and they've pulled back out of artillery range, so they're back here. Goulai, for his part, has been trying to envelop the French right, but that's left his centre quite thin. The French are sitting tight here. They've decided not to go forward and try to exploit. But it's now 12 o'clock, and now Mervelt's corps will be arriving. So now it's 1300 hours. This is Steve's side of the battlefield. These are units from Renier's corps that are coming across into Steve's area of operations. This again is just speculative. I'm just putting this here to indicate that I can't use them in my battle over here. Over here, Mervelt's corps has come up. These are the guys indicated with little blue dots on top. And also Hesse Homburg's forced marched cavalry and horse artillery have come up into the line as well. This is the cavalry from Clanau, who I suspect is regretting sending them across to help out over here. Goulai is massing to try to envelop the French right flank, but the French right flank is pretty solid. And now it looks like Mervelt is massing to launch an assault on the village and redoubt. And for the French, they've massed all their guns to do preparatory bombardment prior to, I suspect that the French will either launch their own counterattack once this has been blunted, and if not there, then they certainly might launch an attack through this way and try to split the Austrians on the French right. So it's 1300 and we're about to start the next hour of combat. It should be noted that this French battery here is positioned there purely to fire into Clenau's corps. That's why it's there. So on Steve's table, he could have off-table artillery firing into any Austrians over here. I don't know if that's happening, but it is a distinct possibility. This battery in the redoubt is focusing solely on Melville's Austrians here. But again, there's at least 3 French batteries here that could be pouring fire into Clenau's left flank. Okay, so it's now 1400 hours. What I've done here is this is Steve's table, and we can see the troops that have entered the field at 1 o'clock, and there's all this fighting going on here in front of the redoubt and the high ground here. And from what the reports I've heard is that the Austrians on the extreme right of the French line are like pulling back somewhat. So this is all just speculative. I don't know exactly what's going on. Sincere has sent orders to MacDonald. If he cannot hold, feel free to pull back, and he will then envelop the flank of any Austrians coming through. But if he can hold and or defeat Clenau, he's to do that. In the last hour, however, Renier has been launching counterattacks against efforts by Melville, who's been attacking heavily here to try to take some of the pressure off Clenau, but that has ended disastrously for Melville. The overwhelming majority of his corps has been utterly routed and destroyed. The Austrians have had some limited success over on the far left, where they've managed to push through slightly over here, but things are going terrible for the Austrians in this area here. It's going to be at least another 12 hours before Hesse-Homburg arrives. Melville is requesting a whole-scale withdrawal, but we're waiting to hear back from Clenau what happens. But what all the Austrians have here is 2 cavalry brigades, some militia infantry, some cavalry over here. The batteries are to the rear. They have not come up to the ridge because they will just suffer counter-battery fire. Over here, if the Austrians do break through, there is masses of cavalry and infantry that will prevent any exploitation here. And this centre is rock solid. Even if they get into an artillery duel, there is still plenty of French that can come up and hold the line. And meanwhile, Clenau, he might not be aware of it, but the jaws are closing in with another cavalry brigade prepared to come across. And also there is artillery fire coming in from here. This is a losing situation for the French, for the Austrians, I think. It is now 1400 hours, and the Austrian commander, Goulay and Melville, are frantically trying to tell Clenau to disengage and withdraw if possible before the jaws close in on him. Okay, so here's the situation now at the end of the battle at 1540 hours. All right, so all this here is purely speculative. This is what the battle that's going on over at Steve's table at Basement 1908. So I've based that basically on reports that I was getting from Steve as the battle was progressing. This is the battlefield at 40 minutes past 3. Essentially, what we have here is all the Austrian units that have withdrawn from the battlefield. Just prior to 3 p.m., the Austrian commanders had sent a courier to General Clenau, basically saying, "Look, the situation here is hopeless. We can't break through. We recommend a withdrawal. If we do not hear from you by 1500 hours, we will commence our withdrawal and assume the worst. The Austrians managed to get a pretty good run of cards in regards to grand maneuvers and the like, and were able to move a lot of troops off quickly, but not before the French managed to launch a cavalry charge that overran a battery here and then charged on, and then these cavalry combined destroyed some rearguard Austrian heavy cavalry, well, dragoons that were in this vicinity here, but the rest managed to get away. So the losses, essentially the Austrians have lost approximately 21 infantry battalions, 4 regiments of horse, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 batteries of artillery. And for the French, they have lost 10 battalions of infantry and 2 regiments of horse. Those losses don't take into account what the French and Austrians have lost on in this battle here, this sector of the battlefield. Steve and I will do a Discord link up at some point in the near future. We'll discuss actual casualties. The Austrians should be able to extract themselves reasonably well. They did have some cavalry get off to cover their withdrawal, and they do have Hesse-Homburg's corps that was due to arrive in about 18 hours. So they would be retreating back towards Hesse-Homburg. Hesse-Homburg would be coming up. Obviously, Hesse-Homburg had sent forward some cavalry and some horse artillery. I believe this is it here. They managed to come onto the battlefield essentially to just help cover the withdrawal, and away they went. Right, so in general, this has been, I think one could say, a bit of an ass kicking for the Austrians. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up there. Like I said, Steve and I at some point will do a Discord link up, and we'll do a post-battle debrief, and then we will continue with the campaign from there. If you've got any questions, just put them in the comment section below. Feel free to ask, or you could ask Steve over at Basement 1908. Other than that, of course, if you find this interesting, like, share and subscribe, and until the next video, I'll see you on the next one. You be quiet.